honestly delightful outside right now, but if it makes it look like it's nighttime in this room besides my lights, that might be why. Today, as promised, we are going to be doing my mid-year roundup of things that failed me. And honestly, guys, it is really not a big, overwhelming, scary, negative list. I'm like looking at most of the stuff I'm surrounded by, and we had a lot of wins this year. If you're new here since the beginning of the year and you weren't with me through Clean Routine 2019, you might not know kind of where we went and where we landed as far as whether or not that kind of thing is like the most important thing in the world on my channel. So I will link that video down below in case you kind of need to catch up on like where we were before this, but suffice it to say, I'm really glad that I branched out this year because there are a lot of people who coconut doesn't agree with their skin, or honestly, a lot of the clean beauty products don't perform that well for, or they're inaccessible because of where you are and you need something that's like easier for you to get your hands on, that kind of thing. And I also just have a lot of brands that I really, really like that don't necessarily self-identify as clean. And so we've really moved to like a mashup of them. And so that is what you're going to see today. I'm going to give you guys mostly things that we reviewed since the beginning of the year, but also some updates on some products that were like previous favorites that I might not be that in love with anymore. So without further ado, guys, I'm not even going to move you in because I want all this space to be able to show you products and things like that. So let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, so disclaimer, if I am like saying that I think that a product was a fail and it was something that you totally loved, that is the beauty of makeup. That is why so many things exist, is because everybody's different. I watch Raw Beauty Christie, for example. I love her so much. We disagree on everything. Every time she tries a product that I love, she hates it, and like, I don't mind. I don't mind being disagreed with. That said, let's go ahead and jump in here. We're just gonna go ahead and get this one out of the way because this was my last video that I did. We just reviewed the Lip Bar Fast Face Skin Serum Foundation and the Lip Bar Lip Gloss in Bourgeois on my channel in the last video, and both of these had very similar results. They dried down really fast on my face and I couldn't get them to move around. They were a lot more matte than I expected them to be. I did get one comment where they were like, I don't know what you did wrong. That works great for me. And I was like, again, makeup is really subjective, but you guys watched that happen. It dried down like clay on my face. It was wild. And the color is really, I think this is the lightest one that they make, and the color was really wrong for me. Again, not their fault, but that was just kind of why it was a fail for me. And the lip gloss doesn't behave like a lip gloss. It behaves more like a long wear liquid lipstick, which is my enemy. I do not like those kinds of formulas at all. So while I did really enjoy their little fast face palette, this was a total fail for me and like an instant just pass. Working our way backwards, I feel really bad because they did send me these, and honestly, my expectations were so high. This is the Westman Atelier, the iPods, right? The $88 eyeshadows that they put out. I got these as PR. It was so sweet of them to send them to me, and you guys saw them. Well, maybe you didn't. If you didn't watch that video, they disappear as you put them on. Like anytime that you apply them and you're trying to get really great color saturation and you try and layer them up, it's like, okay, you can get a little bit of color saturation out of them, but as soon as you try and blend them, they just disappear. And that was something that I found to be just kind of a deal breaker for me, like on my eyelids. Granted, a lot of people really liked these and a lot of people said this is exactly what I'm looking for, but you know, primer or no primer, cream products, what have you, this just, when you start to layer these up and blend them, they just go away. And for me, that was just a deal breaker, especially, and I don't like to qualify, that was the word I was looking for, things by price. Usually it's like it's either good or it's not good, but these are really expensive. Like I just expected more. So speaking of things that are overpriced, I stuck this here just to signify a brand that I don't think is worth the money, and that is, what are they called? Dear Dahlia. Beautiful. Honestly, so beautiful. That video, I had so much fun playing with that makeup and everything, but everything is so tiny, it feels like Polly Pocket. Everything is miniature, and it's so expensive. The actual like set that I got, I'm not gonna use all of that stuff. So I don't necessarily recommend buying that big set that was like $180 plus shipping or something like that. it really is the only cost-effective way to buy their makeup because everything is so expensive when you buy it individually. Like this little lip gloss is over $30 and it's really unremarkable. Like it's a very boring, like feels like private label kind of lip gloss. And you know, they have a lot of promises about their ingredients and cleanliness and things like that, which is what made them initially appealing to me. And they have a really cool color story, but they're very packaging heavy. They are very, I feel like, ill-informed as far as like I'm not sure whether it's like the US pricing specifically, maybe when it's like translated to like buying it in Korea, it's not that expensive, but it is sold as a luxury line essentially as far as the US pricing is concerned. And I just don't get a luxury experience from it. And so it's just something that I feel like was kind of a fail and I haven't reached for it again, you know? And that's how I can kind of tell is when there's a product line that I was like, that was really pretty when I tried it and I'm just not interested in using it again. In fact, especially for like that colorway, Cosmetics is really, really good for that, for finding really, really beautiful, like, you know, color stories around pink and color stories around coral and color stories around like plum and things like that. The way that Dear Dahlia does it, I feel like Cosmetics does just as good of a job at a much better price. Okay, so I have a couple of new brands that I feel bad because there are a lot of hoops that people have to jump through in order to start a brand and things like that. But you guys also, my ultimate loyalty is to you. And I just want to discourage spending your money on these things until like these brands kind of figure their lives out. So lives out. So the first one is Say Beauty. This was one that I was just so disappointed by. Everything was a little bit, like it was a few dollars too expensive. Like especially when I got the stuff in the mail, I was like, this is all so tiny and it all just feels a little bit overpriced. But if they had performed, it would have been different. This is the Dew Balm, the Bronze Nectar Dew Balm, which had all the potential in the world to be incredible. But when I put it on, it spreads. Oh, never mind, she's done. That ain't coming out. How long have I had this? I mean, obviously I haven't had it very long because I reviewed it this year. So I mean, less than 6 months. And I mean, she's done. That ain't coming out of there. Oh, we get a little bit. It's hardened. It's completely stiffened in the tube. When you blend it out, that's what it looks like. If you're like, Kackie, that doesn't look like anything. Exactly. And this is one of those brands that I'm talking about when I say, you know, you take something that's like a shimmery goo, you put it on a 19-year-old's face, and you light it perfectly in like, you know, beautiful natural daylight, and it's gonna make anybody want that youthful glow, right? But it's not reality. It's not reality for like 99% of us. Me at 19, my skin didn't look like that. And it just is, I feel like a gimmick. You know, it's just a little tube of goo and it's overpriced and it doesn't really do anything. It doesn't have any pigmentation to it. Like it needs to commit one way or the other. And I feel like their whole line was like that. So the other one that I really feel like is worth calling out is their brow product here. So they have all of these promises around sustainability and everything, but they're just promises. Like, don't make promises and then just bring regular old plastic packaging to market. Like, just don't say that you have a sustainability promise, you know, or wait, like one or the other, but like it just didn't make sense to me. But this is their brow product that has, again, also completely dried up in the time that I've had it, and I haven't even used it. And it goes on, or it went on, like an oil on my eyebrows, and it doesn't dry down. It's just a thick oil. And so 10 minutes later, you can like put a little, you guys saw it in that video, I just like put my hand like this and I just had like a stamp of my eyebrow. That's not gonna work for me. So I think since then they've come out with a lip gloss and, you know, it might be great. I don't know, their original lip balm was like $16, I wanna say, and I didn't like it either. And I just think that Say Beauty, as we say on my channel, needs to go back to the drawing board store. And the other one, and this is kind of unfortunate because this is actually a friend of mine from high school reached out to me and works for this company and asked if they could send me this stuff, and I've been seeing them on Instagram and stuff like that. This is the brand Inner Beauty Cosmetics, another kind of like emerging clean beauty makeup brand. And they just kind of underwhelmed me to the point where I didn't even end up uploading the video because I was just like, I feel bad just bagging on this line. But, you know, the highlighter, very underwhelming. There's not really anything to it. Their mascara is just very, very forgettable, unfortunately. And the whole situation, I was just kind of like, this stinks. Like, I really want a brand that comes out to, like, introduce hero products, even if it's one product. Make it kick butt, make it blow my mind. And these just felt like filler products to me. There really just wasn't anything especially worth sharing about them. Okay. This is catching you up again. If you haven't like watched my videos recently, this is definitely like a very important catch up. So I compared these two bronzers, and I've actually bought a lot of bronzers this year. A lot of them have been really incredible, but I compared the new Kosas one with the new Ilia one because they came out so close to each other. It just felt like Kismet, you know what I mean? It felt silly to not review them next to each other, and they're actually very, very different. But the takeaway was, I haven't used either of them since because I don't really like either one of them. The Kosas one I don't like because it is crazy shimmery. I mean, it's just, well, and not just shimmery, like goldy orange shimmery. It's just not a color that looks right on my skin. And they did put out, both of these lines, I want to say, put out multiple shades. And I just think that if you're going to market a bronzer to a fair skin tone, you need to consider the fact that orange is probably not going to look very at home on them, period. Like, again, I'm not a makeup artist. I haven't worked on every single skin tone, but I will just say, personally, it is rare for me to find a bronzer that genuinely looks at home on my skin. They're almost always too orange. And then this is the Ilia, and it is actually matte. It's a pretty formula. I have no problem with this as far as like the actual formulation and the mattification is concerned. And it is cooler toned, but it's still just a little bit too saturated and a little bit too warm for me. I will show you guys up against the two that I really, really love right now. This is spoiling it. This is spoiling it. But as far as powder bronzers are concerned, the new one from Charlotte Tilbury, Girl knows, I want to make sure I don't mix my swatches up here. The girl understands that a pale person needs a pale bronzer, okay? And so this came out in multiple shades. Yeah, see that? That's a bronzer shade for me. It's very, very different. And then the Arrive in light medium is just so good and very, very like slim packaging. So both of those, because this one's more of a contour, so it's going to have a little bit more of that like taupiness to it, whereas the Charlotte Tilbury is, for me, through like porcelain, I would say. Like this is for me through like a medium skin tone. The Charlotte Tilbury is like, a porcelain skinned person could probably get away with wearing it. And you can just see how those two just don't really work for really, really light skin. So it's not necessarily that they were a fail as far as like, oh my gosh, you need to completely start over. What were you doing? It's just like they don't look good on my skin. And I feel like if I were to, want to steer somebody towards a bronzer that looks good on really pale skin, I don't feel like I could get one from either of those brands, from Kosas or from Ilia right now. Okay, I want to follow up real quick on two products that I actually tried at the end of last year and I thought that I really enjoyed. And now that it's been hotter weather and my preferences on the way that I wear my makeup has just evolved a little bit, I have to say both of these are now a pass for me. And you guys were like, what? The first being the Hourglass Vanish Stick. While this is a really beautiful formula on the skin, it is chock full of so many irritating ingredients. I mean, it gives me a horrible breakout every time that I use it. It has I feel like kind of unnecessary things in it. It has the whatever the other name is for octinoxate in it, but it doesn't make any kind of sunscreen claims. Like, I understand that there are different purposes for different ingredients and things like that, but personally this was a fail for me because even when I just did that wear test of it to show you guys whether or not I believe in this stuff, the Veil Soft Focus Setting Spray, this just broke me out like crazy, and it's just not worth it. There are prettier and more reliable and simpler ingredients, foundations out there that have really spectacular shade ranges like this. I would definitely steer you towards like the Bare Mineral Bare Pro. Absolutely beautiful, great shade range. Hourglass and Bare Minerals don't really have super great shade ranges in all of their foundations. A lot of times they'll say, oh, well, it's sheer, so like we can get away with not going like full scale on both ends because it's gonna like blend out. It doesn't matter. Their lightest shade is still not light enough for me, and their deep shades still aren't deep enough for some people, but this particular product has a very good shade range, and so does the Bare Pro. And then the other one is actually the Milk Cream Flex Foundation Stick. The big hang up I have with this is that when I talk about products that say that they can be worn at different coverage levels, and they actually can't. This is really what I'm talking about. So this is called the Flex foundation stick. I think flex, I think, oh, I'm gonna be able to wear that in different ways. This is a one size fits you or it doesn't coverage level. Like it's going to, granted, great shade range again, and actually a really pretty formula. Like it goes on the skin really beautifully, but when I have something full coverage like this, I wanna be able to kind of wear it like the Westman Atelier stick, and you know, like have it kind of double as a concealer or something like that, where I can just kind of put it in selective places or really, really sheer it out, and it just doesn't sheer out on me. I'm not sure if it sheers out on other people, but it does not sheer out on me. It goes really skippy and like settles in everywhere, and it looks really odd. You know what I mean? It looks like someone, like you whitewashed wood, you know, you like painted it and then you wiped it back off and it just kind of settled into all the creases. That's what happens when I try and spread this out, and I don't know if that would happen on everybody, but that's the experience that I'm having with it, and it's just made it so that I don't reach for it anymore. This was a fail that's worth discussing just on principle. So Physicians Formula, I was like really excited about the organic wear, and I even just saw this in Kiki's comments. She is trying to find foundations that she can put in her kit that have great shade ranges, that are not crazy, crazy expensive, and that also are cruelty free. Like she's trying to completely, and vegan ideally, trying to completely transition her professional makeup kit over to all of those things. And in the comments, someone said, oh, I really, really love the Physicians Formula organic wear. And someone had to bring that person up to date on the freaking news. And it's just an example because I believe Wet n Wild did the same thing. They started selling in mainland China. It is a claimed loophole kind of thing, and they still claim cruelty-free status. But as far as the blogs that most of us like live by, as far as that kind of stuff is concerned, like cruelty-free kitty, ethical elephant kind of thing, they don't have that certification or that kind of approval as far as being cruelty-free. And it just irritated me because I feel like it's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and it's kind of almost like using the terminology to try and gain notoriety in the market and be like, oh yeah, we're definitely cruelty free, and it's still trying to thread the needle and sell in mainland China. Like that it just kind of drives me crazy. So yeah, that, and I mean the Physicians Formula organic wear was actually really pretty, but the organic wear dewy blush elixir was awful. It was so bad, especially now that I know that these exist. The Daniel Sandler blushes, oh my gosh, I'm wearing them right now. I love them so much. They are the best. I am so happy that I bought these. Okay, a couple of foundations that came out that I had really, really high hopes for. One I paid for, one I did not, and both disappointed me. So this is the Iris and Romeo Best Skin Days. Came out with 5 shades, crazy overpriced. Like $68 or something, you know, for like a brand new product coming out. And like, that's fine, but I also hate a tub delivery system for foundation. It is just so notoriously germy and like impossible to keep ungermy. And low key, I kind of feel the same way about a cushion foundation. So this is the Honey Jarrett Cushion Foundation. Both of these I found to be frustrating because their shade ranges were so bad. I understand small companies putting out shade ranges can't have coverage for every single person, but these are very, very sheer formulas. You could have tried a little bit harder, and you could have put some of those R&D dollars towards making more shades. I kind of am just wondering, like, if you're gonna put out a foundation line, this might just be my personal opinion, it probably is, but, you know, if you're gonna put out a foundation and then like 3 other products, maybe concentrate that money on doing one right, you know? And I don't know, I mean, I guess you could say the same thing for Arrive. It happens to be like okay with me because the Arrive foundation matched me, and so that's pretty unfair, you know? It is a double standard, but I do think that all companies putting out foundations could be doing a better job, especially when they're charging as much as Iris and Romeo. My gosh. This is something that is still completely full. This is a body care item. This is the Camille Cream Body Cleanser from Drunk Elephant. I don't know what happens when I use this, but it makes my skin really, really itchy and tight and dry. And we did just have a discussion about Drunk Elephant on my channel. Some people gave feedback that they were like, I don't really care. I have never found anything that works as well as Drunk Elephant, and like, that's fine. Definitely go watch that video. I don't want to get too deep into it, but yeah, of all like the empties that I reviewed from them, this is a full because I genuinely just didn't like the product. Fulls. do a video of fulls. In the same breath, talking about deodorants, unfortunately Type A sent me a bunch of their deodorant and none of it worked for me. It's actually interesting to see what the takes are, right? From every deodorant company that's trying to make a natural deodorant without aluminum and stuff like that, what their deodorant active ingredient is, and everybody's different. Your microbiome is really, really aggressive underneath your arms. As you can smell. And so definitely experiment and learn what the active ingredients are in certain deodorants when you're trying one and trying to find one that works for you, because you don't want to kind of keep repeating the same mistakes. If you're like, oh, arrowroot powder doesn't really work for me, that there are a lot of them that are using that, or baking soda doesn't really work for me. There are a lot of them that are just like literally relying on baking soda or something like that. And for this one I haven't even opened. They sent me 3. And I tried 1. I didn't want to be wasteful, so I might give this one away. But yeah, glycerin, dimethicone, beeswax, yeah, arrowroot powder, cornstarch, canola wax, coconut oil, mandarin. So honestly, this is like soak up your sweat covered up with some smell kind of thing. There doesn't really appear to be any technology in this, and that's probably why it didn't work for me. What does work for me, and thank you to the people who like brought it back up to my attention, is mandelic acid. Works fantastically well. It happens to be the active ingredient in the Drunk Elephant, but it also is the active ingredient in Lumi. When I bought Lumi the first time, I bought the kind of like liquidy cream one, and it was just gross, and they wanted me to apply it every single day to condition my armpits, and I was just like, this is gross. And it was just a different kind of cream than the Drunk Elephant cream, or maybe the delivery system was different, but they also make it in a stick. And I'm just gonna buy the stick and see if it works. Let me know down below if you guys have tried it and you're like, no, the cream is better than the stick. I'll buy the cream again, even though it's kind of nasty. But you know, I just want something that works, and I don't want to buy the Drunk Elephant again. Okay, last couple here. So of all of the hemming and hawing that I have done about Rituel de Fille and their pricing and things like that, and all of the like people with pitchforks that came for me in the comments, the one thing that I feel like I actually genuinely don't like and won't use again are their eyeshadows, and it is because of this ridiculous little package. That's what drives me the craziest. And we've talked about, I mean, we've talked about all this stuff. That's the point of this video, is that we've already talked about this stuff. It's just like whether or not you watched the video. This is the Ash and Ember. So there's Ash and Ember, and then there's like a solar something of, you know, a different formula that's like more goopy. But getting anything into this package is so impossible, and this thing costs a fortune. It's like almost $40. And that is why, like, I can't in good conscience recommend it. The formula is not bad. The color is beautiful. Let me see if I can get a little bit of this out of here with like my fingernail. But it is such an unbelievably ill-advised and frustrating way of trying to use such an expensive product. Because, I mean, that's a beautiful color, right? But for one eyeshadow color that I can't friggin' get out of the tub, I can't recommend that. But all their little, these guys, they just took some getting used to for me, and for me to stop being such a snob about, you know, things smelling like lavender oil. Granted, understand what your allergies are. If lavender oil bothers your skin, then don't buy anything with lavender oil in it. But I finally just had to get over the fact that like lavender oil and things, it smells really, really fragrant, even if there's like this much in there. And so it's like probably not that bad, but also it doesn't seem to bother my skin. And then finally, it is a rare day that I don't like a ColourPop product, and it's also a rare day that I don't like a blush. But this particular blush, this is the Pressed Powder Blush in Catch My Vibe. I bought this as part of the Making Mauves collection because your girl just can't resist a good blush, but this turned out to not really be a good blush at all. I don't like this formula. It's really dusty, it's over pigmented, and there's just no technology here, you know, it's just kind of a matte pressed pigment for your face. And so like expectation versus reality of what they set me up to expect, you know, it's like, oh, is this gonna be as good as your Super Shock? It really isn't. But you know, it didn't break the bank or anything like that, but I'll definitely be giving this away. Oddly enough, guys, that is it. The one thing that you will probably notice in this video is that unlike my other roundups in the past, especially of fails, there's no skincare. And usually I do either a separate skincare video, or if I feel like there weren't that many fails like this time, I feel like it's been a really good year so far as the things that we've tried, I will typically just kind of like loop skincare in with it. But I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I think I'm probably not the only one either who is just consciously but slowly moving out of the skincare conversation on YouTube because it is, and I choose this word on purpose, toxic. I love Hiram and I trust everything that he says. I think that he is obviously very credible. I think that Caroline Hirons is really credible. I think that I think that Kenna is really, really credible. There are a lot of people that I trust. And so like there's one part of me that's like, well, they've got it taken care of. If you want advice, go over there, you know, see what they say, and then, you know, glean your own thoughts from the experts and what have you. You know, biochemists, people with tons and tons of experience, blah, blah, blah. I don't have tons and tons of experience, so I don't necessarily feel like super qualified giving that advice, but also, on top of everything, Susan Yara has just completely discredited the entire community. Not the whole community, not like, I don't think that like, you know, it's, you know, write them off, but she has completely taken over the conversation by violating various FTC guidelines, by like promoting her own brand without ever saying it was her own brand, and then being like, ta-da, it's my brand, and like having all these reaction videos from other skincare YouTubers who did not deserve to be roped into it. And Caroline Hirons like did this whole crazy Instagram live on it and everything. And I found myself kind of pulled into it. And then I was like, this is why I don't talk about skincare on my channel. It's a really charged topic. A few times I have shared like even just my skincare routine. And it's not so much the people who are just like, oh, have you tried this? Or, oh, that didn't work for me. Or that thing that didn't work for you totally works for me. That's a normal human being conversation. Completely fine. It's the people who then take it to Reddit and they're just like, she puts oil on her face before moisturizer, you know, and everybody's like, occlusive, 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 you know, and like the opinions around skincare are flipping crazy. People get so worked up about it, and I genuinely feel like makeup, I can tell you guys and I can show you guys. That's the main thing with makeup, is I can show you on camera, and I try as absolutely hard as I can to get as much detail on camera as I can, for better or for worse, to show you guys how something is behaving, so that even if my opinion doesn't resonate with you, or I can't give you like a binary review on something like yes or no, you can see for yourself whether you think that that's going to fit into your routine. Whereas skincare, you know, here I am, I'm just like, well, I'm pregnant, so my skin changes every stinking day with no notice. Certain things that plague my skin are probably not the things that plague your skin. I live in a completely different environment than most people, like, watching my channel. Most of you don't live where I live. And like, you know, there's just so many different variables, even with makeup, but especially with skincare, as far as whether or not something will work. Now, like an eye cream, I can review an eye cream. That's totally fine. A lip balm, I can review a lip balm, but like, an overnight with like actives or something like that, that's hard. Like, because people are allergic to glycolic, they're allergic to lactic acid, they're allergic to retinol, they're allergic to what have you, vitamin C in some cases. And a lot of times, like, it is up to the skincare influencer to like interpret those things and build them into recommendations. And I just don't have the knowledge to do that. And so I don't feel credible and I don't feel comfortable making those recommendations on my channel, especially as punishing as the environment can be here on the platform if you kind of don't know what you're talking about. And I kind of don't know what I'm talking about with skincare. So that is why there's no skincare on here, and why I don't typically like go out of my way lately to review skincare specifically, just because I feel like it's so personal, and there are people who do a much better job of it than I do. So that is why that's not in this video. Thank you for hearing me out on that topic. And like I said, there are so few products in my fails from the first half of this year because we had so many winners. Like, I'm gonna need to pack a lunch and a giant bottle of water to film my mid-year roundup of like best of the best, because I have tried so many game-changing products so far this year that I love so much, and there's more to come. I had to like make an arbitrary cutoff, but like I just got my Danessa Myrick stuff in the mail. I just tried the I think I don't know how to pronounce it, foundation today. Oh my god, so good. So good. So yeah, I'm like excited about trying more stuff and showing you guys more stuff. And also I feel like we're kind of coming into our own as far as like a fearless aesthetic here on the channel, and it makes me really happy. But yeah, the next video is probably gonna be really long, so just prepare yourselves for that. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope this was helpful for you guys. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, really helps my channel out. Thank you guys for your really sweet feedback on the last video too. I have come to a place where I can't hold my feelings in anymore, and I know that that's going to alienate some people, but I just have to like go forward as myself on my channel, and I just feel like the feedback was so much more positive than I expected it to be. You guys are so smart and understanding and really good at grasping nuance, and like I just really appreciate you guys sharing and engaging and being super, super present, and I really, really appreciate you guys basically. This is your first video that this is while you're watching of mine, Wookie. If this is my first video of yours that you are watching and you enjoyed it, maybe consider subscribing while you're here, ring the little notification bell so that you know when I upload, because I upload as often as I can while also maintaining my sanity. But this does help me maintain my sanity. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for being awesome. I love you so freaking much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.